Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. My name is Siti Rahayu binti Isha. I am postgraduate student at UPM under program PhD in Psychology of Child Development. Today I am going to present my paper with title A Systematic Review Identifying Research Gaps in Emotional Intelligence Development Using a Storybook as a Learning Tool. There will be an introduction, methodology, findings, and discussion in these slides. So we go through to the introduction. We go into the introduction. So preschoolers. According to Piaget's theory, preschool children are egocentric and cannot tell the difference between fiction and reality. At this age, children believe that everyone is just like them. Preschool children often use transductive thinking to address a problem. The preschool children thinking and speech is filled with metaphors. Imitating, dreaming, and speaking are some of the skills that they learn from mimicking others. It is possible for them to tell the difference between reality and fantasy. They may use more complex vocabulary, relate the story to current events, and express their thoughts and feelings about it. It is necessary to challenge, expand, and reshape their pre-existing schemes. This age group is a big fan of stories. Storybook as a learning tool. Storybooks encourage communication, cooperation, problem solving, and empathy in children of all ages. Recent research say children need soft skills for development and social success. Storybooks can teach children about emotional intelligence. A storybook can evoke many emotions, helping children recognize their own emotion and others. Preschool children recognize and express emotion better than non-readers. Storybook expose children to different situations and emotions, helping them to develop emotional intelligence skills. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a socially useful skill. Children need to learn how to look at others and respond accordingly. To develop emotional intelligence, it is important to understand the social context. Understanding and relating to others' emotion is an important part of having high emotional intelligence. Without empathy, children are unable to form bonds with other people. Empathy is the core of emotional intelligence. Children who have a high level of emotional intelligence are more likely to form close friendship and be well-rounded members of society. Alright, so here I can say that emotion makes us human. Emotional intelligence makes human have humanity. If storybooks are able to develop emotional intelligence, so reading storybooks make us human with humanity. The purpose of this study is to address a knowledge gap of the use of storybooks as a learning tool for developing emotional intelligence in preschool children. The significance of the study is teachers or parents need to know how to use storybooks as a way of teaching children how to deal with their feelings. Emotional intelligence is the skill that children need to be able to understand and deal with all of their feelings, so this may cause them to change how they act. It's hard to find the right words to explain things to children, so books help them use their imaginations and try to figure out what the story is trying to say. This helps them develop their emotional intelligence in a roundabout way. Methodology. This study is a qualitative study that uses the systematic literature review method. This method will systematically analyze previous studies to identify past studies that have been conducted on storybooks as teaching tools to develop emotional intelligence in children. Therefore, literature resources are limited between 2014 to 2021. This study applies a systematic literature review method that includes the subject area, research objective methods, study sample, and study findings. Therefore, other than methods unrelated to the objective of the study will not be included in the systematic review of the literature. This method applies systematic search using keywords similar to the principle of systematic literature review applied by modern research, Susan, Michi, S. Williams, 2003. In this study, the keywords children's storybooks, emotional intelligence, and children's storybooks and emotional intelligence were used to obtain research data. Article search is using Google Scholar, ResearchGate, ProQuest, and Mendeley database. The use of storybook as a learning tool is the main criterion in the analysis of this study. The study has found that there are 179 articles that search using predefined keywords. After an examination of the title and abstract, There were 65 articles received. However, further evaluation and detail were conducted on the 65 articles, and the study found that there are only 22 articles that will be used for this research as shown in the table 1. So we're going to the findings. A total of 22 articles were identified for analysis to address the gap in the literature regarding the use of storybooks to develop emotional intelligence. The obtained results have been systematically summarized in Table 1. So here is the gap discovered. Based on 22 articles, the study identified 3 important gaps in the study of developing emotional intelligence using storybook as a learning tool. The first one is the lack of study using preschool children as the sample of storybooks and emotional intelligence study. The second one is need for more study of storybooks and emotional intelligence in Malaysia among preschool children. And the third one is the lack of study on storybooks and emotional intelligence. Table 2 here, adapts from previous research, indicates how 3 gaps in the study of developing emotional intelligence using storybook as a learning tool were identified. So here is the discussions. A thorough literature review enables the study and comparison of research results on children's emotional intelligence and storybooks. This literature evaluation synthesis and analyze relevant material to identify research gaps. According to Table 2, these are the study gaps and limitations relating to storybooks and children's emotional intelligence. We go on to the first gaps. Lack of study using preschool children as the sample of storybooks and emotional intelligence study. For many years, a lot of research has been done on how storybooks affect the emotional development in children. Many researchers have found that storybooks help the child develop their emotions, but this researcher thinks that there should be new ways to study how storybooks can be used as a tool to teach emotional intelligence in the modern world. First, the analysis of the systematic literature review show a gap. Many studies tend to look at the effects of storybooks without using children as samples. Even though emotional intelligence is important in today's world, there has not been a lot of research on how storybooks can be used to teach and improve it. The study analysis shows that there isn't much research on storybooks and emotional intelligence that uses preschoolers as its sample. This gap was found and it will be looked at and studied in more depth in future research. Also, the study of children is seen as very important in the 21st century. A lot of research has also been done on emotional intelligence, but there have not been many studies on emotional intelligence in preschoolers. So we go on to the second gaps. Need for more study of storybooks and emotional intelligence in Malaysia among preschool children. A look at the research shows that Malaysian children don't have a lot of emotional intelligence. Rahayu talked to teachers and found that emotional intelligence is only taught as a side subject because there aren't enough teaching tools and modules that focus on emotional intelligence. Children don't have much emotional intelligence because their parents and teachers don't know much about it and don't know how important storybooks are for teaching children emotional intelligence. In the last few decades, more and more studies have shown that reading to children has many benefits for building early language and pre-reading skills. But not much has been done to see if the reading storybooks to preschoolers help them develop emotional intelligence. So the last gaps is lack of study on storybooks and emotional intelligence. Storybooks that teach children different morals and character traits are becoming more and more popular, but there has not been much research done to see if they help preschoolers develop emotional intelligence. In the past, there has not been a lot of research on how well storybooks work as way to help children build emotional intelligence. Wagner says that there has not been much research on how storybooks affect a child's emotional intelligence. The focus on social and emotional skills is related to the goal of this study, but not to emotional intelligence in particular. Most studies look at how storybooks affect children's creativity, social interaction, pro-social behavior, and social play. In relation to COVID-19 pandemic, there are other studies that use online survey for adults to find out Which titles of many storybooks would be best for children who are sad about going back to school? Unlike most studies of storybooks, this one focuses mostly on vocabulary, literacy, and English as a second language. Some researchers also look at emotional aspects that can't be called emotional intelligence but can be thought of as a part of emotional intelligence or related to it.